So this is after the wall came down, and we were now buds with the Russians, and we had and this was while I was the task commander. They decided to put on a Arctic SAREX, search and rescue exercise. So the Canadians and the Russians came into Eielson, and the concept was a civilian airliner goes down. How do we rescue the people? How do we get people in and out of the Arctic? So that was all going on. One of my tasks was to get the Russian generals from their quarters over to the squadron building where we were running the exercise. So it was the second or third day of this thing. And I'm going to the first general's quarters to pick him up. And it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. And this was in the October-ish time frame. So 4 o'clock was definitely dark at that point. But that's not, anyhow, I go in, knock on his door, General, whoever it was. It's me. I'm here to pick you up. He goes, well, Fred, come on in for a minute here. It's tradition in Russia to have a shot of vodka. And I'm on the flying schedule for later in the day. And I'm going, sir, I really can't. He goes, Fred, you really will upset me if you don't have the shot of vodka. And I'm going, I've got 3 or 4 hours. I can probably metabolize this. Yes, sir. Next general, shot of vodka. Yeah, maybe 2. Third general, shot of vodka. Ended up 5 generals. I got in the car, 5 shots of vodka. I'm driving with one eye closed at this point, trying to get to the squadron building. I walk in, the generals are going, and I go to the boss, my ops officer. I'm going, I got to get off the schedule. They go, why? He goes, you've been drinking because you smell like vodka. And he goes, you got a problem? Knowles, what the hell's going on? And I explained it to him. And at this point in time, the one general, the youngest of them, comes up. Yeah, we were screwing around with old Fred here. He's a great guy. But we got him to drink 5 shots of vodka on the way over here. I'm going, oh crap. So yeah, I was hosed at about 5 o'clock in the morning. Didn't fly that day. And everybody got a good laugh about it. But that's what Robert was talking about.
That's brilliant. Did you have any other standout moments at Arson? Anything else that is particularly memorable that you would want to share?
And I hesitate to even say this, but I was on the Gunsmoke 83 team and the Gunsmoke 85 team. Gunsmoke 81 was the first air-to-ground gunnery kind of competition that they held down at Nellis. So I dropped a couple of good bombs, got on the 83 team. We sent 5 planes down to Nellis to compete. We did pretty good. We took first, second, fourth, and 8th place in shooting the gun. I was in second place right behind Wes Weslowski, who took first place. He had 2, you go shoot twice. He got 200 rounds through, so he didn't miss a single shot. I got 199 through, so I was 1 behind him. One of mine either went through the same hole, so they couldn't count it or whatever. So that was pretty big, and we did good at the nav and the bomb dropping. And then we went back in 83. Didn't do quite so good because they realized the A-10 was probably going to take all the stuff, and so my opinion, it's like with the Kansas City Chiefs. If you know they say the referees love the Kansas City Chiefs in the football. They put some different rules in for the A-10 that year in 83. 83 and 85. So that was, for me, that was pretty big. Getting the squadron when we built the 11th task and become the squadron commander there was pretty good. I figured in my Air Force career I would have been let go at about the late captain, maybe major stage, and I made it past that by a couple. So the whole time in Alaska was just a good time.
Did you know your Finney flight was going to be your Finney flight in the A-10 then? You knew you were going to be, I mean, it sounded like you got yanked out of Arson very quickly. So did you have a chance to do a Finney flight? And what was that like?
We did. I did. And we went out with the squadron ops officer and a couple of my other guys, 4th ship. That was in, what time of year was that? That was again in October, early part of November time frame. So the temperature was about 30 below that day. So the tradition is they hose you down. We didn't use the fire trucks because they wouldn't come out in that weather. So they used fire extinguishers. So I got to be hosed down at about 30 below. Things got cold real quick. We got some pictures on the wall there that I didn't send you those, but Yeah, so that was a Finney flight to remember.
I'm always curious. It's a question I've asked other guests as well. When you've spent 3,300 hours flying something, operating something, do you have to think about it anymore?
The muscle memory is there. No, you don't. I mean, if you go, okay, I've got to, you know, activate this switch to turn on whatever, the hand automatically goes there. You don't think about, okay, I've got to move the stick to the left. All that stuff is just it's there. So it gets back to, like we mentioned before, the communication with whoever's controlling you at the time, be it an ATC facility, the tower, the ground control, making sure you don't get complacent and push the wrong button on the weapons control panel, those kind of things. So for me, it was always not getting complacent because I felt too comfortable in the airplane.
Did that happen? I mean, were there moments where you had to have a word with yourself?
Yeah, I went out one morning and we also got a basic autopilot in the A-10 towards the end, where you would do an altitude hold, heading hold, and you could set the throttle, similar to what we had talked about in the 106. And I got airborne one morning and headed south, and I turned on the altitude hold at about 1,000 feet AGL and heading hold, and I was looking through some stuff and I fell asleep. So, I didn't sleep for very long. It was only about probably 5 or 10 minutes, but I woke up going, holy crap, scared the living bejesus out of me. So I was complacent there. Told the plane to fly itself. I started looking some other stuff, looked off to the side and just lost it and went to sleep. So yeah, that happened. And I was pretty careful about that in the future after that.
Wow. What was that attributable then? You hadn't had enough crew rest. It was, you were flying in the dark. What?
No, it was daylight. It was a summer mission, and maybe I didn't get enough rest. I didn't have enough coffee. Uh, I don't know. It just happened, and I think it was, I just felt so relaxed in the airplane. The sun was up. It was a beautiful day, and I just kind of I let that get to me. Luckily, I survived it. I think I told my wife and maybe Robert about it. I didn't tell too many people about it. So you got the story now, but I got complacent and I could have died right then. Luckily, I didn't.
Wow. So was that when you left Alson then, was that the last military flight you took in the A-10?
Yeah,
okay.
That was it. I went to live with the Army a couple of years at Fort McPherson. That's when I got over to Kuwait. We would go over to Kuwait about once every 2 or 3 months for a couple of weeks at a time and then come back. From there, I went on down to, after a couple of years living with the Army, I went to Reserve Command at Robbins in Macon, Georgia, and then knew that it was time. So I got out and retired.
If you enjoyed this clip and want more, you can go to 10percenttrue.com, hit subscribe, you get early ad-free access to all my content. Appreciate your support.